creating a startup board of advisors is a waste. You're likely to get advice telling you that having a board of advisors will help you get funded. However, that advice, however well-intentioned, is wrong. In fact, having a board of advisors could potentially hurt your chances of getting funded. And that's what today's video is all about. In today's video, I'm going to explain why you don't need a board of advisors to get funded, when you do need a board of advisors, and finally, how you should compensate your advisors. I hope you like it. Hi, I'm Brett. On my channel, I help early stage startup CEOs like you raise money and grow your startup. So if this sounds like you, then hit the subscribe button and the bell so you get notified every time I release a new video. Let's get started. Why you don't need a board of advisors to get funded. Let's start with a story. When I was starting to raise the initial funding for my company, I had gotten in my head that I needed a board of advisors if I was going to raise money. When I was an entrepreneur in residence at a San Francisco-based venture capital fund, most of the startups that got money had a board of advisors. In fact, many of these startups proudly displayed a slide of their advisory board. So, by my way of thinking, if these companies that got funded had a board of advisors, then I needed a board of advisors too. And I spent a lot of time recruiting a really good group of advisors for my startup. I remember proudly telling my first investor, Gil, about the advisory board I had recruited. Then Gil said to me, "A company like yours doesn't need an advisory board." You could literally hear the air coming out of my balloon because Gil was right. I didn't need a board of advisors. The reason I didn't need a board of advisors to get funded is the reason that most startups don't need a board of advisors to get funded. Many times, the advisors you recruit are just giving you permission to use their names. The advising they do, if any, is pretty minimal. You, the CEO, and your team run the company, not a board of advisors. And experienced investors obviously know that. Bear this in mind the next time you put up that pretty slide of your advisory board because investors don't care about your advisory board. Now, when do you need a board of advisors? It's a really good question. Do you need them at all? Okay. I think I've made a pretty compelling case for why you don't need an advisory board. That being said, advisors can be very useful to you and your startup. Now, here's the test any advisor you add must pass. Is the advisor adding value to your startup? And by value, I don't mean lending their name. That, in almost every case, is useless. Here are 5 examples of where it might be worth adding an advisor. Number 1, the advisor provides technical guidance that you don't have access to in-house. Number 2, the advisor helps you raise money. Number 3, the advisor helps you add customers. Number 4, the advisor helps you recruit your team. And number 5, the advisor regularly advises you on key issues. These are real, tangible things that will add value to your startup. For example, after I got rid of my original advisory board that didn't meet any of these criterion, I kept one advisor, Dave. And Dave, who was advising me on key issues, was invaluable to me. Now, how should you compensate your advisors? Many times, advisors are successful, former executives that are wealthy, and usually they will want to be paid in stock. That's where the challenge comes in. And let me explain with an example. Let's say you're recruiting an advisor who has a net worth of $20 million. Now let's say you eventually sell your startup for $100 million. Now that's a pretty good exit. A typical grant for an advisor might be 0.25%, and after a few rounds of dilution, your advisor's equity is now 0.15%. That means an exit will give your advisor about $150,000. And that, in this example, is 0.8% of your advisor's net worth. When you really think about it, that's not a huge financial incentive for your advisor. The problem is you can't give your advisor a meaningful ownership percentage such as 5% because you don't have that much equity to give. You can't even likely give your advisor 1% because even that might be too much equity. So what do? Give your advisor as much as you can if they are worth it. This is probably around 0.5% vesting over 2 years. Then you might find that your advisor wants to invest as well. That's what happened in my situation with Dave. And of course, I let Dave invest in my company, and you should do the same thing. So be generous, not stingy when it comes to your advisors. It's the least you can do. Now, if this content is resonating with you, then please hit the like button right now. Now, here's a summary of what we've learned today. Number 1, adding a board of advisors because you think it will impress investors is likely to backfire on you. Number 2, only add advisors that are going to add value, such as helping introduce you to potential investors. And number 3, you probably are not going to be able to compensate advisors in a meaningful way to the advisor. So be as generous as you can be. Now, what did you learn from today's video? Put your answer in the comments column below today's video. And if you have any questions for me, then put them in the comments column too, and I'll be happy to answer them for you. Now, I have one more thing for you today. It's my free startup pitch deck template. It has all the slides you need to develop an awesome pitch deck. Click the link below today's video and it's yours for free. And for more great content, click on the video at the end of today's video. And if you haven't already, then click the subscribe button to get notified every time I release a new video. I'm Brett at brettjfox.com. Thanks for watching today. Take care. Bye.